Hello and welcome to the Tech in the Hood podcast. I'm your host, Ahmed Flex Omar. Tech in the Hood is a storytelling podcast that explores the past, present, and future of Chicago's cultural identity through conversations about community and technology. Each week, I reconnect with the friends and mentors who have shared this journey and spotlight new voices and innovators building the future of the Tech in the Hood. Everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Tech in the Hood. Today's episode, I'm interviewing my dear friend, Bashir Muhammad. Bashir, how you doing, brother?
I'm good.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
You've been busy. Very busy.
So have you.
I have been.
All right. Well, I think we'll start the show with going back to where it all started, how we met.
Yeah. It's been a while. That time has gone by really quickly. I think that was in the year 2000 or year 99.
Came in October of 2000 to Chicago.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. And I met you, I think, the day after you arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And how old were you? 18?
I was 19 at the time. Yep.
19.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was working on the West Side for West Side Health Authority.
Yeah.
And I met you. And the first thing you said to me was that you came from Dubai. No, I'm sorry, Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, that's right.
Yeah, I just got back from Abu Dhabi where the cars are like toys. That's exactly, I'll never forget it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay.
It is true.
Yeah.
There was no Google back then, so you couldn't really verify.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I asked you, did you know anything about computers? And you proceeded to tell me a little bit about your background.
He actually came over to fix my uncle's computer.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I sort of said I could help you out with that. And
okay.
That was my little audition.
That was your first interview.
That was my first interview.
Let me say, can this guy work on these computers?
Yep.
And after that, I was like, well, if you have some skills, let's see if we can put them to use.
Yeah.
I got some work, and we're on the West Side doing some things, and the rest was history.
And at the time, what were you doing for the West Side Health Authority?
Yeah, so at that time, I was working at the West Side Health Authority. My official position was called Community Technology Coordinator.
Okay.
And West Side Health Authority had received a couple of grants, one from AT&T and to work with Northwestern University, and one from the Department of Health and Human Services to work with West Suburban Hospital.
Okay.
And so both of those grants created programs, and the point of those, or the objective in those programs, was to bridge the digital divide.
Okay.
Or to work towards bridging the digital divide, bringing community or technology resources to community, and bringing resources such as equipment, training, materials, et cetera. And I got that job. Yeah, I think I got that job in 99. So I had been working it for a little while.
Okay.
And got a lot of exposure and, learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by the time you arrived, then I was in a position where I could make the recommendation to my management, to my boss, and say, hey, I need an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to continue doing all this work, then I need somebody to work with.
Yeah.
So I brought you with me there to West Side Health Authority, and we started working, going around the neighborhood, setting up computers, setting up computer labs.
So for the computer labs, here's my earliest memory. Had me going into citizen leaders' homes and installing web TVs.
Oh yeah, man, I forgot all about that. Yeah, that was crazy.
What was that? And where did that technology come
insane.
from? Who donated it? What was that all about?
That was crazy because at that time, that was before broadband.
Yeah.
So we were using dial-up connections like ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm saying? That was so crazy. And we had got these devices called web TVs, and you could actually take this device and connect it to your television.
Sure.
And it connected to your phone line. and then it had a dial-up modem.
Yeah.
And you were actually able to surf the web on your television because it had a wireless keyboard, I remember. So it was pretty slick at that time. That was pretty advanced technology. You know what I'm saying? And we actually were purchasing those new because with the funds from the grant.
Yeah.
And there was a program. It's still in existence to today at Westside Health Authority. It's called Every Block a Village.
Got it.
Every Block a Village is the name of the program or the organization that organizes the neighborhoods in that community on West Garfield or South Austin, which is, specific neighborhoods on the west side of Chicago. And they called, so each block would have what's called a citizen leader, which was, I guess, essentially the equivalent of, a block leader.
Sure.
And this particular person is responsible for communicating with other neighbors on that block, sharing information. There was no Facebook back then. There was no social media. So, you actually had to talk to people. And it was like right on the cusp of the growth of email. So a lot of people didn't have email addresses either. So you actually had to get out and talk to people. And so those citizen leaders would have these web TVs installed in their homes so that they could connect to the web and that we could communicate with them via the web, and we can post things to the website that was created. And then they hope, the idea was for them to take that information that was being disseminated and then go out into the block and say, hey, we got this meeting coming up, this, that, and the other. And it would be a more efficient way to communicate.
I mean, at that time, it was revolutionary.
Oh, I mean, I think that it's like, the early stages of a Facebook.
Yeah.
Or Facebook, like, just social media.
The government said that it was a social, in a sense, a social media model, a social network model. So there was an award. We don't need to be humble here.
That's true. So we got an award for the program.
Yeah.
We got an award from the Department of Health and Human Services. It was called the Models That Work. And so we were invited to Washington, D.C. We received an award. It was a whole ceremony. It was a big deal back then. It was a pretty big deal. I was very honored to be a part of that. You know what I mean? It was very special. And I'm glad that I got a chance to meet you. And you were able to participate in that as well. I
mean, absolutely. I mean, I didn't quite understand the impact at that time. I was just happy that I had a job in IT and I was doing something fun as opposed to,
just, hanging out or
working, jobs that, most immigrants, would work, would be a taxi cab driver and so on. I mean, I was going to offices. I was meeting with elected officials.
Yeah, we had a lot of, meetings with politicians.
Yeah.
Community leaders, stakeholders.
Absolutely.
It was pretty significant experience, I would say.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it from your perspective at the time, that, you coming here from overseas. I mean, Abu Dhabi is a developed country, so it's not like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of the most developed countries in the world. But, the culture shock coming here. And
for
coming
sure.
to Chicago, and then coming to the West Side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
there was definitely a number of culture shock. But also I survived war and genocide in Somaliland.
Right.
So
you're pretty tough.
Yes.
This is nothing.
I've seen some things, but still, I mean, there's certain images that you get from America, especially from Hollywood.
Right.
And you don't see that glamour version when you head to certain neighborhoods. And then later on, years later, started studying and doing, research and how, structural or institutional racism works and, redlining. I mean, we're talking about bridging the digital divide, but why was it divide?
There's a reason why that exists. Yeah. And there's a lot of different divides, and that's just one of them. But
exactly. So now, there's all these Vox Media, documentaries that people can just go on YouTube and learn about it, right? There's diversity and equity inclusion programs in corporate America, that try to educate on these, things to a certain degree, right? But when I first came, I had no idea, so I had only you to ask, questions and say, well, this doesn't make, sense. Why do we go to a particular neighborhood and people look different, and why is this and why is that? And especially for a city like Chicago that's famous, internationally for Michael Jordan, for Oprah, so I mean, we just got the glamorized version, So, but for me, I was really fortunate to work with you and really do the work that we did. Now, going back to the computer labs,
we had some fun.
That was interesting, And if you want to tell the audience a little bit about, what we built, because this is before cloud computing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were going around setting up computer labs. One in particular was called ShoreTech. We had gotten an opportunity to work with ShoreBank Neighborhood Institute. ShoreBank is no longer in existence. I think it's now it was bought out by U.S. Bank.
Okay,
but it was a local neighborhood bank. They had branches on the south side and the west side, and they actually owned quite a few properties on the west side of Chicago. And so we had the opportunity to set up computer labs in those properties, and give access to computer and computer learning, training to young people, children. Actually, it was people of all ages. Had access. Anybody could come in and learn how to use a computer. And so they had internet access. At that time, we were setting up servers in those computer labs. It was a big deal. And I mean, it was like the old computers. It was like these white monitors, CRT.
Gateway computers.
Like with little towers, you know what I mean? It looked so cool, you know what I mean, back then. But now you look at it, it's like, man, what is that? Like if I was to show my kids that, they were like, oh, that was some old computers, like dinosaurs. But it was really cool. I mean, we met a lot of good people.
Yeah.
We did a lot of great work, and we had a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So I would call that a recipe for success.
Yeah. I mean, the benefits for the community was almost, instant.
Instant. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was a really cool experience, for me, because I participated during the day and the evening. I helped, build curriculums.
You were actually doing some of the classes, weren't you? Yeah.
Some of the programs for Microsoft Office, So I mean, different for the adults, but then kids coming after school, work on their homework a little bit, giving out floppy disks.
Oh my goodness!
Remember those?
Oh, floppy disks.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Had so many.
Put your resume on the floppy disk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Save it on that. Yeah. Yep. No doubt. I remember.
That's right.
Yeah, that was before. Well, it was like the early stages of Google. Well, Google wasn't a public company at that time. You know what I mean? We were just, we were like using web crawler and Alta Vista and whatnot.
Alta Vista, GeoCities.
Yeah.
Build your website on Microsoft Front Page.
Yeah. Then it was Dreamweaver and it was, it was a whole thing, man.
It was an interesting time. I mean, I picked up, I used to go to the Borders on Michigan Avenue back in the day. And I picked up the Networking for Dummies.
Oh wow! Yeah, those for dummies books, can be really helpful.
That was that's my cheat code.
Cheat code. Yeah.
Routers and switches.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Back then we would set up hubs, and you know what I mean.
You had to crawl everywhere. I mean, I had the cargo pants from Sears.
Oh, okay.
Those came in handy.
Man, we're bringing in all of the old old names: Sears, Borders. All of these companies are no longer even around anymore. That's wild.
Yeah. It's I mean, that was definitely an interesting, time, but it was also the time when you decided to start your company.
That is true.
NTG.
Yes. And you were instrumental in that as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, when we started doing all this work in the neighborhoods, there were a lot of organizations that received grants, like West Side Health Authority did, to bring in technology resources. So you had a lot of organizations that suddenly had Cisco routers. They had, server equipment. Yeah. They had computers. They had
just high tech.
There's all kind of equipment. Yeah. And then you get all this equipment. It's like, well, who's going to set it up? Who's going to configure it?
That's right.
And then once you get it all set up and everything, who's going to do the training on it?
Yeah.
And so...
who's going to administer it?
Who's going to administer it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it created another gap, another divide, you know what I mean, of learning. And it was at that time that we were like, well, maybe we can help. And so we started to go to some of these organizations, some of these places on the weekends and after hours, after work, and help them set up their equipment. And obviously we had to get paid. Yeah. We had bills, you know what I mean? And so after a while, we were like, man, we can do this on our own. You know what I mean? Like, this could be a viable business. And at that time, so I have two partners, Tavarian Dinkins and Brian Franklin. They were working on the corporate side. They worked for General Motors in IT. And they would come in and you would come in as well. And we would get to work. Man, I mean, I remember we would work all night long setting up some of these systems. Yeah. And then, you know, they would come in and get the internet rolling. And like I said, it was right on the cusp of when the breakout of broadband happened. You know what I mean? Before that, it was dial-up. So when broadband hit, man, it was on. We were watching videos and everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a wild time. But so from that, we started Netelligence Group, NTG for short. And the rest is history, man. We just started doing projects, and you know, after doing projects, then people wanted to sign us on to a retainer to help them, you know, monthly. And that's how it started, and it has evolved over time, man. It's been 23 years. Wow. Since we started that. And I think back and I'm like, man, that's crazy. When you think the majority of small businesses that start, they don't make it past 2 years. Yeah. You know, and then even a greater percentage, they don't make it 5 years. You know, 10, 15, you know what I mean? We've been in business for 23 years, man. So that's a blessing. Yeah. Congratulations, you know, man. Thank you, man. A lot of hard work, and a lot has changed in tech over those. God. Yeah. You know, tremendous. 23. There was no mobile back then. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There was no Wi-Fi back then. You know what I mean? Like Wi-Fi. We take that for granted right now. That's insane. Yeah. There was no Wi-Fi. Yeah. And now we're talking about Wi-Fi 6. It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. So. Yeah, wide, man. And where's the organization right now, the Westside Health Authority? Westside Health Authority has, man, oh my God, it has evolved. So Westside Health Authority is, at that time when you were working there and I was working there, we probably had about 12 people there. I would say 12 to 15 people. Sure. That organization is probably about 60, 70 people working now, spread out over 10 different locations. And right now, I'm actually on the board of Westside Health Authority. 10 different locations? 10 different locations. That's incredible. Including a health center, a large and elaborate youth center that has a high-tech Mac lab with all Mac computers, and, you know, all type of community engagement. So I would like to, you know, say that, you know, we were part of that foundation and creating that and helping this organization a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Play this metal role. A little bit. Small part to play. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the vision of the executive director at that time, Jacqueline Reed. And now her son, Morris Reed, is the executive director. Sure. I'm actually on the board of Westside Health Authority now. And so I'm still involved. Yep. And they're doing well. We're actually in the midst of building a $40 million Aspire Center on the West Side that's going to be dedicated towards small business development. $40 million center on the west side of Chicago. That's what we're working on right now. Okay. And it's going. We've got the funding and, you know, the Aspire Center, you said? It's going to be called the Aspire Center. Okay. And what is it going to do? It's on the corner of Madison and Central Avenue. Okay. It actually was a former CPS grammar school. So you can imagine how big those properties were. Massive. Yeah. But it hadn't been occupied for probably 20 years or more. Yeah. And so it's right now it's being renovated. They're actually adding additional buildings. Yeah. And like I said, the focus of it will be business development. So we've got some anchor tenants already committed. There will be, you know, office space. It will be you know, a lot of opportunities for you know, event space, et cetera. Yeah. You know, it's going to be really nice. When is it slated to be open? 2024. Yeah. So next year we're looking at towards the mid-late 2024. That's incredible. Yeah, we did the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting, if you will, with the mayor, Mayor Lightfoot, and that was about a month ago. Okay. And we had a good turnout. So it's a lot of exciting things happening at Westside Health Authority. I'm very honored and, blessed to be a part of that organization for so long.
Absolutely.
I got lucky. You work hard, but you got to be lucky too. You got to have, we interchange luck and bless, what I mean? But you got to be lucky too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be blessed. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at even the early computer labs, that were built, did you see direct impact, from some of the kids that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because some of the young people who were working with me or us at that time, like Aurelius Biggs, and there was David Forrester. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember David.
Just a lot of young kids who worked with us in a capacity as an intern, if you will, or even just, as part of the youth who were interested in computers. Yeah. They've gone on to work in jobs in IT. Okay. Like, I can't speak to, their exact experiences, but I know that they're working IT related positions. And I feel very, very proud of having had a part to play in that, So definitely.
That's incredible. So where's the company now? I mean, obviously, at that time, you were doing a specific set of, work. Yeah. You're still doing managed service provider work.
We are doing managed services. Yep. So there's been an evolution of, IT support, outfits as well as, IT itself. I mean, you have to change and evolve.
Take us through the different periods. So
okay. So back then, late 1990s and early 2000s, it was what we call break fix service. Okay. So basically your computer is broken. You call us, we come over there and we fix it. All right. Your network is down. You call us, we come over there and we fix it. We get it working and everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then it evolved to managed services, where you have a help desk and you're actually remotely going in and resolving issues. And so
what years were those?
So I would say managed services were probably around 2005 to 2011, 12, something like that.
The help desk. Ticket. I got a ticket.
Tickets. Yeah. You had to get in there, remotely and resolve tickets and, and so we did that. So break fixed to managed services, and now it's all cybersecurity, which makes sense because as we've moved our entire lives and our digital lives off, and now we have to secure it. Now we have to protect ourselves from all of the threat actors out here in the world.
Your IP
from all over the world. Yeah, and the cyber crimes industry is more lucrative than the drug industry or the drug trade industry. So that it's going to be attractive to anybody who's trying to make some money. Yeah. In a nefarious way. So
does it matter the size of the business in terms of getting cybersecurity work done?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. And just because you're small doesn't mean you can't be a target. Everybody is a target.
So what do they do? Give us give us a story without sharing any confidential stuff.
I mean, it's still the most prominent way for those threat actors to gain access to your resources and to trick you is through email.
Through email.
That's still the number one method that they use.
Patch file.
Yeah, it's just like, let me send you all kinds of emails to trick you and make it look like, I'm your bank or, back in the day they had the emails coming from people like, I'm a prince from Nigeria. And, it was easy to be like, man, this is BS.
I think those still come through.
They still come through? Yeah. You just discard it like, man, this is nothing. But now, I mean, some of them look legit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or what's happening now is it's the social engineering aspect of it, where if you're a business and you have your public facing image with your website, your social media, et cetera, then you have these threat actors who will actually study your business in and out, study it, your website, who are the players, who are the actors. And then once they know, then they'll start to try to hack. Then once they get in, they'll start to, learn how the communication goes, who's doing payments, who's doing accounts receivable, who's doing accounts payable.
Yeah.
They learn all of that. And then when they find their moment, they pounce.
Okay.
You know, I'll give you an example of something that happened recently where a client, obviously will remain nameless, they got hacked. And just, you know, for full disclosure, they had not taken our service yet. So we work with them after the fact that this happened. So for all your listeners out there, you know, we're in the business of protecting folks, not, you know, making them more vulnerable. But anyway, they had gotten hacked. Somebody's email had gotten hacked. And they figured out all the communication between this particular person and their clients. They sent the client an email that looked like it was from that particular staff person. And it just said, we have changed our bank information, our routing information. When you get ready to make your payment to us, make it to this new bank, this new bank information. And they did it. They did it. And I won't tell you the dollar amount, but bro, if I tell you how much it was, you would fall out of your seat. You know what I mean? It was a lot.
Yeah.
And so they're still trying to work with the bank to get those funds back.
Wow.
But the hack happened from, you know, somewhere, you know, overseas.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to be very difficult. I know they're throwing a party over there. Like, you know, we got them, you know.
Wow.
So that's just one example.
Right.
What's happening out here. And you hear it on the news all the time.
Yeah.
About, you know, a hospital has gotten hacked and all their files have gotten encrypted. If you want to get access to your files, then you have to pay this ransom. Yeah. And I call it ransomware. It's happening all the time. And a lot of times, in order to protect your image, it is embarrassing, you know what I mean? And then there's also the damage to whatever your reputation is, to whomever you're working with. Yeah. Then you want to keep that quiet. So we only find out about those that come public, or, you know, it gets leaked. You know what I mean? There's a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses that are getting hacked, and they're just keeping it quiet. So
that's right. Yeah,
man, it's a big problem, man. It's a big problem. But you know, wherever there's problem, there's opportunity. Yeah. And so that's where we step in. You know, again, trying to fill a gap, trying to help. We've always been, you know, obviously we have bills, we have families, we have to pay, you know, make our payments. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make money. So it's a business, but we also, you know, we want to help people, and that's what we've always done. And I think that's part of the reason why we've been successful, and that's why we've been able to stay in business for so long, because we genuinely, like, people who can trust us. Now, we're not perfect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Far from it. But you can trust us, and we do what we say. We say what we mean, and, you know, we make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, been in business, you know, this long for a reason, you know, so that's a good thing. Yeah. So another question I have is, you know, there's always the myth of people losing jobs when you know, more technology is added, you know, into the system. So over your, you know, 23 years in business, have you seen more jobs added because of IT, or jobs taken away?
Most definitely. I would see there's definitely been more. Yeah. Now, recently, there have been a massive layoffs, you know, after the pandemic, because I think a lot of those large tech companies were anticipating a major shift to, you know, online or digital living. Let's put it like that.
Digital living.
Yeah. Okay. You know, just living, you know, in the metaverse or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, now it's looking like that's not going to be the case, at least not anytime soon. And so, yeah, they've had to do a lot of layoffs, but I would say over the 23 years we've been in business, it's been, the tech jobs have grown significantly, and there's been a lot of opportunities. Matter of fact, a lot of people who've come through our doors have gone on to work at other companies. You know, a lot of people who've worked for me in the past, they make a lot more money than me now, and I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Like we always say when people work with us, you know, this isn't, you know, your last step on the line. You know what I mean? This is just a stepping stone. But while you're here, you're gonna work. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're gonna work. You're gonna learn a lot. You need a lot of experience, but you're gonna work. You know what I mean? And then you can take that knowledge and go on, work somewhere else. Like, we've had a lot of people come through our doors over these 23 years, man. And, you know, they're doing big things now. And I'm proud of that too.
Absolutely. So that's an interesting time. And obviously, you know, after, you know, COVID, I mean, you mentioned digital living and VR and, you know, all that. I believe that for a certain generation, it is they're really active,
Yeah.
on it. I have cousins and that are on Roblox and building, in VR, so and my time it was more Sim City, right?
Yeah, I remember
building,
that.
Sim City, but they're building on, I'd say a more advanced version.
Yes.
Of that. And, I've been able to, experience it with, I have an Oculus.
How was it?
It is really cool, man. I just go on like trips to other countries. I mean, YouTube has, 8K experiences in VR. When you're there, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's an experience, and then you get to share that with your family and so on. So I really believe that for cultural understanding and bridging gaps between people, VR can play a really big role. Especially with everything that's happening, right now with more people, being divided. People can go on cultural experiences, but
take your vacation.
Hey, I mean,
metaverse, you know what I'm saying, or just in VR
to a certain degree. I mean, or for governments, I can see governments, in terms of tourism, really educating people before they even get there. With customs, so So Qatar just had the World Cup, so people were able to experience Qatar before they even got there. It makes their experience a lot, easier. But obviously the gateway usually to a lot of new technologies is gaming, right? So there's a lot of gaming happening on, the Oculus, fitness. I mean, I have a fishing app.
Oh, really?
It's pretty realistic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my daughter has an Oculus, man, and she was showing me. She went to a Kendrick Lamar concert on the Oculus, and then you put it on and you look around and you see all the people. And like, what?
I mean, NBA, right? Courtside.
NBA, man, that's deep.
That is so cool. So it's something else, So, and that's a regular Oculus, and now they have the Oculus Pro, and you can do augmented, reality stuff. So you're staring at your laptop and now you got 3 screens, instead of one, So for me, I look at it in terms of education, there's a big opportunity there to train people in new ways. If people can log into classes from anywhere in the world, that is really,
that's education. That's huge. That's huge. I think that's going to be huge. I got a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
It's about artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Now, Elon Musk says that artificial intelligence is going to result in the demise of the human race at some point. How do you feel about that?
I'm not. At least in my lifetime, I'm not worried about it.
Let the great grandkids do all that.
The artificial intelligence, I mean, you look at what? GPS, right? GPS is technically, built on machine learning and artificial, intelligence. But, GPS still, gets lost in Whacker Drive, And so for me, it's like I welcome it, So my new company's name is Flex Tech, AI. And a lot of people think, it's artificial, intelligence.
What is it?
It's more applied intelligence. So taking, artificial intelligence, taking human intelligence, and then being able to make smart, decisions, based on that. But you need foundational knowledge first in IT, right? Kind of like, a data scientist, right? So, but if you don't have that foundational, knowledge, then you're not really taking advantage of all the technologies that we have. Right now, ChatGPT is really popular, right?
Big time.
So, and for people are saying, ChatGPT is, now it's going to kill, people's jobs. It's going to
creativity
kill creativity, and so on. I disagree. So what I did was I was just kind of researching different developers that are working in the AI space. And on Twitter, I found this gentleman, who published, his code on GitHub. And it was a code to integrate. It was a script to integrate ChatGPT to your Google spreadsheets,
Wow.
Google Sheets. And then when you do that, you can just go on any cell and type in just like, any function. So if you would do equals sum, open brackets, and then highlight the cells, say, it'll give you the total number, right? But that's a normal, Excel or Google Sheet. But with this one, it's equals AI. So the ChatGPT is connected to it. So instead of me going on Google and making a search or going on Wikipedia and so on, I can get my answer right there.
Yes, deep.
And I'm still working through in that, sheet. I don't have to leave the sheet. So I tell it, hey, give me an example of what a cap table looks like in a startup. Give me a full example.
That's deep.
So it's good. It's good because I'm not being distracted, because I know if I go on Wikipedia, if I go on another site, I'll get distracted. I'll start digging into things that I normally, don't want to, especially while I'm working, so the and now they just released, I think, a pro, version. Microsoft put in some money, I think 10 billion for the group that's behind it, OpenAI, right? So I'm pretty sure they want to integrate it with
like their suite of the Azure suite or the
Bing, because Bing is a search engine powered by, ChatGPT, so that's going to be, interesting. But, Google is of our generation, so other generations might be using, other platforms, to do search. But, artificial intelligence is really, popular right now.
That's the future, man.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's the future, but I don't think we should be scared of it, because if we're looking at even research, in terms of, vaccines or, any cancer treatments and so on, imagine how much time we'll save if we're able to use artificial, intelligence. Yeah. And I've always looked at technology as a tool. If I need to turn off, the devices, I turn off the devices, but some people can't, so,
no doubt. I got another question for you though.
Yeah.
Cause I'm proud of everything you've been able to accomplish, man.
Thank you.
I'm honored to know you. You're a good man. You know what I mean? And I've known you for a long time, man. And you have a global perspective on things. That's what I appreciate about you, is that, and that you can get along with anybody. You do.
I was blessed, man, growing up in the UAE, over 200 nationalities, so you get that education early on, and that was a blessing.
No doubt.
So you tapping into the code, and from different cultures, so even with Arabic, there's 16 different dialects, in Arabic. I mean, you studied in Sudan,
I did.
So you know that, right? So I mean, I know the Sudanese, dialect, so being able to have a conversation with someone in their own dialect, it's like,
that's powerful.
You
can connect with them.
It's powerful, for cultural diplomacy. But I cut you off. You had a question for me.
Well, no, I was just gonna ask you, man, where do you think we rank as Americans in technology as compared to other developed nations or even developing nations in the world? Because I know that, especially like Somaliland, various nations in Africa, Asia, they're doing some big things in IT, man. So are we lagging behind?
Yeah, a little bit. But it's always been like that. So even when I, came to the United States in the year 2000, the phones that we had in the UAE were more advanced than the phones here. But I think it's because of, certain rules and, laws and so on. But now, with Apple, iPhones and, so on, we get that, first, but the adoption of new technologies in Asia is far more, rapid. So when we're talking about, metaverse and VR and so on, if you go to Korea, that's normal.
Right.
So that's normal. Crypto, crypto communities, that's normal. So and here we've experienced, some of the Web3, things, and not all, good, not all great, but it's an introduction to a new, technology. I believe like things even as NFTs are here, to stay.
Yeah.
It's a digital certificate of ownership, right? So I work with, artists, so, if now they're selling a piece of painting, they give you the physical and they also give you a digital copy, right? And so that's interesting, but the underlying technology that's behind it, blockchain technology, is something that is here to stay. And I studied accounting in college, right? So when a lot of that terminology that's being used in the blockchain ecosystem is just ledgers and making sure smart contracts, so it's really interesting. But I think
is that creating a new divide? That's what I'm thinking, like in these communities. So before we were looking at computers and like really what bridged the divide was the mobile phone, the smartphone.
Right,
it's like a computer in your hand. But now we have a new divide, Web 3.0, crypto, blockchain.
Absolutely. I mean, the important thing is, people all have cell phones, now, so you can actually experience, VR through your phone. You don't need a headset. You can do crypto through your phone, right? You can have your wallet, on your phone. So that is the advantage that we have now. But the issue is, who's willing to get, educated on these new technologies. But then, talking to big businesses and big CEOs, what jobs are they creating, for the future, right? And so it's always interesting to see what's happening in places like Germany, in Asia. I was just in, Dubai. Dubai is, they have Dubai Future, Foundation. So they're already doing stuff around the metaverse. The UAE has a ministry called the Ministry of Possibilities. So you can go and get government services, through VR, as your avatar and talk to a government, employee, so they're ahead, and that's in that sense, but we provide the technology, what I'm saying. So, it's coming from us, it's coming from other, European countries and so on. But mass adoption is another thing. What I always look at is, the next generation, what tools that they're, using, and they're really into, the metaverse. But the metaverse is just, a term, for a digital, universe, right?
Like just the whole reality, the experience of.
It's like I own Flexverse. So for me, if I Flexverse, yeah.
Oh snap! Okay, this is the first I'm hearing about this one. Like I don't know if you.
No, it's just a recent, acquisition, but the domain was available, so I got it. And for me, I'm going to build, cultural experiences and VR that's different, from the metaverse. That's awesome. More focused on, diversity, equity, and inclusion, So wow. So
hey, you know what? I'm about to come work with you, man. Give me a job.
Hey, there you go. It's always a job for you. You can join. And start by joining the advisory board. We're launching soon. But that's awesome, man. So it's an exciting time, and you always listen to the media and you hear recession and you hear all these things. How many people got laid off, from tech jobs, and for me, it's like we overhired during COVID and after COVID. So there's always market corrections, and that's not a nice way of saying, things when people get let go. But the people also that are getting let go are highly educated people that with few certificate, classes will get other jobs, and there's going to be plenty, jobs that are, coming about, we're talking about, cars, that drive themselves, but again, who's going to administrate, build them and administrate them and do, all that work, So my thing is, with younger, people, for example, when I started my NGO, Mala, in 2015, fintech was something new that was becoming popular, but most kids in school had no idea what fintech was.
What does that mean?
Yeah, and then people started hearing about PayPal, obviously, which was popular, Square, and then Cash App, so all, and then looking at health tech, right? So telemedicine.
Huge.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to need people to manage, these things. I mean, even right now, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to Mariano's or Whole Foods, so for people that are not from the U.S. that are listening, major, supermarkets, grocery stores, whatever, there are self-checkout,
Oh yeah, that's
stations, right?
They're more self-checkout than there are
right. But they break down.
They do.
They break down. And that's, for me, I guess, what best way to say this is it's programmed by a human being, and as humans, we're, error prone. We're not perfect. So the machine is not, perfect. So I'm not as concerned as artificial intelligence just taking over. But what I'm really concerned about is our educational system. In the United States. And I want to see even more investment, in, STEM. And I think also the private sector and community organizations, can play a role, in that, and upskilling, young people for the jobs of the future. Yeah. So my question is, to you is there, any work that's been done recently with Westside Health Authority? Because, back then, we were building, the computer labs, so what's the pulse on the street?
Yeah, that's a good question. For us at Westside Health Authority, our focus right now is in building this center. And, in that center, they're going to have opportunities for learning. I think we're going to have a large computer lab, training facility, skills training, looking at, because even though the technology is still evolving, and you have Web 3.0, you have all these opportunities in technology, you still need trades. Yeah, people still need electricians. Yeah, people still need carpenters. What I mean? There's a lot of building, there's a lot of development going on, and technology is just one part of that. Yeah, and so at Westside Health Authority, we want to be able to provide opportunities for all types of skill trainings and learning opportunities for young people. So that's what's going on out there. Yeah.
You guys started doing VR trainings?
We haven't done VR trainings yet.
Okay.
But you put that on my mind. I thought I'm going to bring that to the board. Yeah. I think that. Yeah, I think that
let's talk.
Yeah, let's do that.
If you think about it, if you're an architect right now, if you can develop, the concept for your client, in the metaverse, and have them experience it before they even,
I like that.
Do construction or do anything. Yeah. I mean, I have an office in the metaverse. People can come meet in there.
Hello, Ahmed. How are you? It's just have your avatar.
Just hang out. I got a lounge. Yeah, I got my art pieces. In there. My NFTs.
Okay. You got the, what is that? The Bored Ape?
No, I definitely didn't purchase one of those. Okay. Yeah, there were some ugly monkeys.
Yeah. Hey man, those things were going for so much though when it first came out.
But now look at how much they cost.
Yeah. Like a fraction of what it was.
But you were forever associated with that.
Yeah. No, but I like that idea, man. And I what I would like to do is to bring you to one of the board meetings and talk about the benefits of using or leveraging VR for training, for learning. And then even having something in that Aspire Center dedicated to that, I think that would be huge. I think that would be
absolutely. I mean, we're even talking about ChatGPT right now that's used. Right. We can program ChatGPT, to be a teacher's assistant. So for the kids to come in, ask questions to help them, with their homework to a certain, degree, and you can control that, So it's really interesting how the technology works, but getting them educated on that, early on is, pretty cool. But those are the jobs, so like when people are talking about, hey, with these self-checkout kiosks, for example, the kids that normally would work at grocery stores, now they're not going to be able to work there. No, kids are still working at the grocery store, but hey, they know how to fix that thing.
Yeah,
if it breaks down, so I go back to,
it's just a shift.
It's a shift, and any industry, you need a foundational understanding, of IT. I mean, even if you're a, physician, so
absolutely,
if you're doing charting, you gotta use the computer, whatever enterprise solution.
Yeah, the practice management software, or, the cloud computing, whatever,
Exactly. I mean, it's all cloud now, right?
It's all cloud.
But back when cloud first started, people were like, "What are you talking about? My files are in the cloud." Look at you all, crazy. But you can look at that in every, period. There's a famous video of Brian Gumbel, asking, "What is the internet? What is email?
What is email?"
I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, I remember when Bluetooth first came out, look at people look like they were talking to themselves.
Yeah, like, what is that? Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, that was so crazy.
So, but man, it's been really great having you.
Man, for sure. It's good to see you, man.
Tech in the Hood, so I'm just, doing this, to take a journey back.
This is great. This is awesome.
In time and over the years, and really, it's been a great journey, and obviously, you were the first mentor, so.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I appreciate that.
And then I appreciate you keeping the company, going, strong, NTG.
Man, we're
there, on the West Side. I mean, West Side gets a bad rep, but to be honest, man, some of my fondest memories are there, and people were just too kind,
They said the West Side is the best side.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I'm excited to come back and, do some work.
I think that would be great, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And present that to the board. I think they would be excited.
Absolutely. So you have a final message to the young people that are, listening, and the ones that are young at heart.
I just say, man, work hard and stay humble.
Yeah.
That's it.
Simple.
Work hard and stay humble. Whatever you're doing.
All right.
That's it.
Well, Bashir, I wish you all the best, man. And I'm sure I'm going to have you again on the show.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. So thank you for coming.
All right, man. Peace.
All right.